Hello, I'm going to be talking about collage today, and the first thing I'm going to go over is cutting something out of a piece of paper. So if you have a picture or something that you printed out or a picture from a magazine or a newspaper, the best way is just to grab a pair of scissors. We have different size scissors. Use which is most comfortable for you. I like to cut out the picture like this first with my scissors, so that I discard this piece, and then I come back in here and I get as close as I can to the photo. So I don't want any white showing. So I'm using this scissor really carefully, coming in here, right up next to the edge. Now, if there's something that's too hard to get with a scissor, that's where you can come in and use an X-Acto knife. So I'm just going to finish trimming this one spot here. For a lot of you, like if I wanted to get into these little areas and cut them out, you want to use an X-Acto knife. For that, you need this mat, which is found in your art room. You need a glove for the hand that you are not cutting with. And you're going to ask your teacher for an X-Acto knife out of the office. The X-Acto knife usually comes in a safety tube, and then the blade looks like this. You're always cutting down towards the mat this way, never cutting upwards this way. This is the sharp part of the blade, so you never want to touch that. So what you're going to do is you're just going to take your X-Acto knife and place it in here and make a few little cuts. You also want to turn the paper as you cut this little section out. You're wearing the glove on the hand that you're not cutting with so you don't cut yourself, because that's what's holding the paper. And there's a little piece in there that I didn't get, so I'm just going to make another little cut right next to it. And I can use the X-Acto knife to kind of pull that final little piece away. There we go. All right, and then I would continue on here. If I couldn't get in here with scissors, I could also use an X-Acto knife to cut this out. But what we want you to understand is there should be no white showing on the outside of these pictures, okay? If you have to cut a little bit of the color off this piece to have no white showing, that's okay. So I feel like cutting away little sections at a time is a good way to use an X-Acto knife. Not trying to go around the whole outside with this, that would not work, and it would end up ripping the paper. Okay, so that's how you use an X-Acto knife. Next, if I had this already all cut out, before, I want to make sure I put this away very carefully and return it to my teacher when I'm done. Just pretend I was done cutting this out. If you're going to collage something on, what you want to do is make sure you have your background completely finished. You want to add your watercolor or marker or colored pencil, whatever you're doing, before you collage something onto your paper. There's a couple different ways you can do this. You can either use a piece of double-sided tape in a couple spots if you want the picture to lay flat against the paper. Again, I need to finish cutting this out, but for time purposes, I'm not going to do that. You can lay this flat and double stick tape it. You might need another piece, or you can raise up your picture off the paper, have it stick out. These are called 3DOs, all right? And if you put them on, they have stickies on both sides, and I like to just go like this, and then it's a little bit easier to pop these stickers off so you can see what this would look like. So as I peel this back, you would probably want to use maybe 3 on here, and then you would flip it over and it gives sort of a 3D or popping off the paper look like that. That's another technique for collage. And then something else is using some Mod Podge or some acrylic gloss medium. Either one will work, and your teacher will have that maybe in a container, or you can ask her for it. And using a brush, okay? And another technique that you can do is ripping up some tissue paper and Mod Podging, or acrylic using the gloss medium, to just overlap the tissue. And using the Mod Podge, it kind of sticks in place. Sometimes you might need a little water in there if it's dried up a little bit after sitting for quite a while in the container. But you're just gonna basically brush it right over top and then overlap them as you go. You wanna kind of stay in the same color family, so I'm using some warm colors here, and I can even rip this into smaller pieces and just continuing to collage in this fashion. This glue is white, but it will dry clear, so you kind of have to hold it with one hand and collage with the other. That is another way to do tissue collage. And again, this gloss medium works the same way. It's a little bit thicker, a little bit has more of a opaque or white consistency to it, but it should dry clear. Either one will work. Make sure you wash out the brush really well, because that kind of gets stuck in the brush. And then the other thing you can do is there's all kinds of paper you can use for collage. There's foil paper, there's cellophane, which is kind of fun. The Mod Podge does work with that, and also I've had students use the double-sided tape. So find out what's the best method for you if you want to use those. We have cellophane in a couple different colors. We have felt, so if you're interested in collaging felt, the best way to glue that down would probably just use some Elmer's glue with that, which we have in bottles. There's corrugated cardboard, which is another collage material. We have a bunch of different types of paper. We have this sort of fancy fuzzy paper, and then we have glittery papers you can use to collage. We have animal pattern paper, and then we also have tie-dye paper. All right, we also have construction paper. So those are all things you can use for collage. We have also have wire that you can add to your work. We have pipe cleaners. There's the supplies we have yarn. There's other things you can do. So we also can use the glue gun if you would like to adhere anything to your work. So that's it for collage. Thank you.